Hi, Joe.
Hi,
How are you?
excellent, thank you.
This is Joe Brown, who is a news photographer, and he lives in Woburn. Has been my neighbor for a long time.
More years than we want to admit.
Right. But can you tell me a little bit about your business and how you got into it, Joe?
Sure, so it's Joe Brown Digital Photography, and now we've added a drone component, so it's now Joe Brown Digital and Drone Photography. I started 33 years ago professionally, but I actually started back in elementary school with taking pictures. Started in the 6th grade.
Really?
Yeah, I really did. It was one of those weird things. The Taki School was right down here, but on Fridays back in the 70s and 80s when I went to the Taki, they had a special class. They sent us over to the Alta Vesta up in North Woburn.
Right.
And I took a special class there, and the teacher handed me a camera, said, take it apart, do a report, tell me how it works, take some pictures, and I fell in love. It was instantly in love. And since that grade, that would have been 1976, I had a camera in my hands ever since. All through high school, all through college, and into now. And then turned a hobby into a profession. So it's worked out very well.
That's great. Well, what they say is do what you love.
Exactly. And you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And that's the way I feel. Like I've almost never worked a day in my life.
That's
So,
great. Is there anything that has surprised you about this business?
The biggest surprise is actually how much the internet and the whole society moving from the old darkroom days. I remember those days when I would go out and take pictures all day and then have to be in the darkroom all night. So there's a big difference now, and that was the biggest surprise, is how much of an influence that had. Like I like to tell people, when we switched into digital photography, it kind of allowed me to be a dad, because I could still work on pictures on the computer and have a crib right next to me and have the kids. So that's how I was able to kind of mix the two of them.
Made your life a lot easier.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so. It still does. The internet part of the whole photography world is wonderful.
Is there anything that people don't know about your business?
Maybe that I do a lot of different things. I don't just do news photography. I do weddings, and I do bar mitzvahs, and I do first communions. I do studio. I teach at a studio in Manchester, New Hampshire, on occasion, which a lot of people might not know. But I have that studio available to me also to do photos. It's really not that far a drive. From here to Manchester is only about 45-minute drive, and usually the traffic's not that bad. So I do a lot, and I think everybody knows I love every minute of it.
Yeah, you seem to.
So
I've known
I
you
do.
for a while. Yeah.
I do. I love it. I really have a ball doing this.
Do you have challenges in this business?
The biggest challenge is in news photography is this, because everybody has one of these now.
Right.
So I cannot get, as I would call them, exclusive photos like I used to be able to. So if something happens and I have to respond to it, there's more traffic. But by the time I get there, somebody already has a better photo that I'm going to get.
Wow.
So that's probably the biggest challenge. And the other challenge is, especially again in news photography, is that nobody wants to pay. All these, even the newspapers and everything, they figure they're going to get them for free from somebody. Everybody wants to see their name on TV. Everybody wants to see their name in the newspaper. So if you say you photographed or videotaped a fire or an accident or something outside your house, when Channel 5 and Channel 7 calls, most people say, oh yeah, go ahead and just use it. Well, that kills me, because I say go ahead and use it, but send me a check. So there's a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah, that's a big difference. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, as a freelancer, because that's, again, I don't have one particular person I work for, because I'm technically self-employed. So I work for the Woburn Times. I've been with them now for 33 years, but always as a freelancer.
Always as a freelancer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm working for the Lynn Item nowadays. I'm working for the Salem News. I'm working for the Everett Herald, Leader Herald, I think they call it. So I'm working for all these different newspapers, but always as a freelancer. So,
okay. Well, that's interesting. I didn't realize that.
yeah. So a lot of people don't know that I do a lot more than just the Woburn paper. They think I'm Woburn, but I do Woburn and Burlington exclusively, also not exclusively, extensively, I guess I should say. So those are my two main towns.
How far do you go? Like if somebody wanted you to photograph a wedding, how far would you go for that?
It's all negotiable. So if they want to fly me to Aruba, like I have friends who have done, I've done that. I photographed a wedding several years ago up at the top of Loon Mountain. And the bride and groom gave me a room for the night. So I was able to stay there for the overnight. And then we made it a weekend, so the family came with me.
Yeah.
and we enjoyed.
What
So
season was it?
it was fall.
It was fall.
It was fall. Yeah.
You had a good day
So-
for it.
We actually didn't.
Oh, that's-
Unfortunately, they got married in the snack bar at Loon Mountain
Oh.
because the fog had. They couldn't run the trams up the top because it was so foggy. You couldn't
Yeah.
see a foot in front of you. And then at the bottom of the hill, it was very nice. But they got married, and it was that. It was one of the more interesting weddings I've done.
I bet.
I've done. I could write a book on the weddings I've done. I've just done hundreds of them, and everyone's different. Everyone's a little bit of a challenge, but and they're all fun. I enjoy weddings. So.
That's great.
But it's not my mainstay because there are people out there. That's what they do. That's how they make their living is by
Exactly.
primarily doing like weddings and engagements. Mine is really primarily news, and I do tons of sports photography. That's my big thing. High school sports. I do football. I do all the different sports all the time. Almost every day I have a game. So
I know that at the 99 restaurant at the Four Corners here in Woburn,
yes.
there's a lot of pictures on the walls that Joe Brown has taken.
Yep, that was a good contract that
Yeah.
that they've actually had me do a couple of times. Also, the 99s on Mishwam Road, the 99s in Tewksbury, the 99s in Wilmington, and Applebee's in Woburn has a bunch of my photos also.
Okay,
So-
now the one in Tewksbury, did you take sports teams in Tewksbury?
Yes, because I do work for the Tewksbury newspaper, so
Okay.
there's not as many up that way. They've only used one or two that I know of. In Wilmington, same thing. There's not as many, but I do. So the Woburn paper owns the Wilmington and Tewksbury paper that are weeklies. So I work for them quite extensively, especially for sports.
Great. What's the most memorable experience you've had?
Oh goodness, there have been so many. Let me tell you that. In the 33 years that I've done this, I have landed on aircraft carriers with the Navy. I literally sat at the steering wheel of a nuclear-powered submarine for 8 hours off the coast of Florida.
Oh my word.
And I can't tell you a lot more about that because a lot of stuff I saw was classified, and I can't reveal what I saw.
Of course not.
I have been everywhere. I've flown with the United States Army Golden Knight parachute team and watched them jump out of a perfectly good airplane. Really, just have had too many. There's just I could never really single out one. Every day for me is totally different. There's never ever is there the same day twice. I'm always seeing something different. I'm meeting different people. I could be in Woburn at 10 o'clock in the morning. I could be in Lynn at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I could be in Manchester, New Hampshire at 5 o'clock that night. So I'm always on the road. I'm always meeting people. So it's hard to really
Yeah.
say one particular
one
thing.
particular
It's
thing,
just
yeah.
a wonderful, my job is just wonderful.
It sounds like you should write a book.
I might, one of these days,
Yeah.
I might do that, so.
Joe, how can people get a hold of you if they contact you if they need some photographs or a wedding? Or...
Everything is on my website at joebrownphotos.com.
Excellent.
That's the best way.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, you're welcome.
Very interesting.
Thank you very much.
Okay, count to 3.